Hello, hello! Welcome to another episode of Learning English with your one and only Ma'am Karla, your tender loving English teacher broadcaster. Now, let's have a short quiz bee to review about plot setting and characterization. This quiz bee is very easy. You simply have to identify the terms defined in each number. Write your answers in your board or paper. At the count of 5, or when you hear this sound, you have to raise your board and show me your answer. Game? Alright, let's play. Number 1. It refers to the period or time when the story happens. Go! That's right! The answer is setting. Number 2. It is the struggle faced by the main character in the story. Go! Correct! It is conflict. Number 3. It is the turning point and most exciting part of the story where the main character faces a major enemy, fear, challenge, or other source of conflict. Go! Good remembering! It is climax! Number 4. It is the final outcome of events in the story. It is also known as
Daedalus.
Go! Awesome! The answer is resolution. Number 5. It refers to any person, animal, or figure represented as actor or mover in a story. Go! Brilliant! It's character. Last time, we learned that the appraisal of the unity of plot, setting, and characterization in a material viewed is important to identify and understand the author's purpose. Today, we will continue studying about plot, setting, and characterization. We will dig deeper into these terms. But wait! Do you know Daedalus and Icarus? Okay, listen carefully. I will tell you their story after we unlock the vocabulary words that we will encounter in the story. I want you to arrange the jumbled letters to form the word that is being defined in each number. Write your answers in a piece of paper. You have 5 seconds to unscramble each word. Ready? Nice! Let's vocabulary, let's go! Number 1. It means intentionally harmful and violent. Did you write vicious? Excellent! You got it right! Example: the poor little girl was paralyzed after being bitten by a vicious snake in the forest. Again, number 1 is vicious. Number 2. It refers to a person who is an expert in a particular craft. If your answer is craftsman, you have another point. Example: David has been working as a master craftsman in Laguna for 20 years now. Number 2 is craftsman. Number 3, it means to attract or tempt someone by offering him something pleasant. Entice? Your answer is correct. Example, The hype specifications of the phone enticed May to replace her 3-year-old phone. Again, that is entice. Number 4. It is a maze or place with many confusing pathways. Did you say labyrinth? Cool! It is correct. Example: a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers were built near the museum. Again, number 4 is labyrinth. And number 5, it means to think about something carefully. Very good. The answer is ponder. Example: Julia and her friends ponder how to surprise Melvin on his birthday. Again, number 5 is ponder. Good job, grade 10! Congratulations! 5 words are added to your word bank today. And with that, I'm sure that you can understand the story easily. So sit back and relax. Let's all be amazed by the story of Daedalus and Icarus. Once upon a time, on the island of Crete, there lived a minotaur, a vicious creature that was a half man and half bull. Everyone in the island was terrified of it because it desired nothing more than to devour human flesh. The people pleaded with King Minos to slay the monster, but the king refused to this. Instead, he asked Daedalus, a talented architect, inventor, and master craftsman, to build a labyrinth, a huge complicated maze for his beloved pet. Daedalus worked
unceasingly
on it day and night. He made it so complex that it would be nearly impossible for anyone or anything to escape from it. He was helped by his son Icarus. Once done, King Minos instructed Daedalus to entice the Minotaur into the labyrinth by leaving some appetizing meat in its center. When the monster was in the labyrinth, it was trapped and unable to escape. The king was greatly enchanted with it. He thought of using this for his enemies. My enemies deserve a dreadful death in the hands of the Minotaur, and this is a perfect invention, said King Minos. From then on, anyone who was sent to the maze would be imprisoned and eventually be bitten alive by the violent creature. However, when the king perceived that Daedalus was no longer beneficial, he threw him into the labyrinth together with his son Icarus. King Minos betrayed Daedalus and Icarus and intended to kill them. But since Daedalus was the one who built the maze, he and his son were able to find their way out. When they came out of the labyrinth, Daedalus and Icarus managed to go to the shore and pondered on their next plan. They carefully thought of a strategy to leave the island without being noticed by the king. But they felt hopeless because there seemed to be no way. Daedalus looked up at the sky and whispered, "God of wisdom, help us!" Then he noticed the birds flying in the air. "Wings!" he shouted. "Yes, we need wings to fly and be free as a bird." He excitedly explained his bright idea to Icarus. He instructed him to gather as many birds' feathers as he could find. So, from that day, Icarus began to collect feathers. Then, Daedalus meticulously glued them together with wax. After long weeks of hard work and sleepless nights, Daedalus finally finished making 2 pairs of wings. With these words, you could fly like a bird. he told Icarus. But remember, you must never fly too close to the sun. If you do, the wax that binds the feathers together will melt. And if you fly too close to the ocean, your wings might get wet and will be too heavy for you to fly. Icarus agreed. Then, he enthusiastically attached the wings to his arms and helped his father to put on his wings too. "Let's fly! Follow me!" Up they rose, Icarus after his father, up in the air. And when they looked down, they saw the island of Crete beneath them. Icarus flew higher and faster. He was absolutely ecstatic. Alas, he felt like a bird. "Son, stop! The wax will melt!" Daedalus screamed when he saw Icarus flying close to the sun. But Icarus was too thrilled, so he did not hear his father's warning. Suddenly, he noticed that a feather wavered, dropped toward the ocean, and then another, and then another. Oh, the wax was melting! "Help!" he shouted. But before Daedalus could reach his son, poor Icarus fell with a heavy splash into the water. Daedalus saw nothing but the feathers afloat in the ocean, and he knew that his son drowned. Daedalus named the ocean Icaria in remembrance of his son and left with a heavy heart. Now, let's try to apply what we've learned from our previous discussion to the tale we heard today. Let's start with the characters. Last time, we learned that characters are the persons, animals, creatures, or things that serve as actors or movers in a story. Could you tell me who the characters are in the story? Good! The characters in the story are Daedalus, Icarus, King Minos, and the Minotaur. But how do we categorize them? There are various types of characters in a story. They are: number 1, protagonist, or the main character around which the whole story revolves. He is usually the primary agent who makes the major decisions and experiences the costs of those decisions, and often faces the most substantial conflicts. Daedalus is the main character in the story who was characterized as a talented architect, inventor, and craftsman. He was the one who designed the labyrinth for the Minotaur in the island of Crete and thought of an extraordinary plan to escape from the realm of death set by the villain. He exhibited traits of a hero such as intelligence, for he stood out from the crowds for having created many objects that figure prominently in various myths. Courage, for making wings to escape, and love, for reminding his son Icarus not to fly too close to the sun and near the ocean. Next, we have Icarus. Is he a protagonist, deuteragonist, or antagonist? Icarus was the son of Daedalus, who soared up excitedly, forgetting his father's warning, and eventually drowned in the sea. He was Daedalus's assistant in building the labyrinth and gathering birds' feathers, and the second most important character in the story. Therefore, he is a deuteragonist. We also have King Minos. What do you think? Is he a protagonist, deuteragonist, or antagonist? we learned that King Minos was the king of the island of Crete who instructed Daedalus to build a labyrinth for the Minotaur. Yet, he decided to throw Daedalus and Icarus into the maze and planned to kill them when they had no further use to him. Undeniably, King Minos is the antagonist in the story. He played as the villain or the bad guy who caused the conflict to the protagonist. What about the Minotaur? Is it a protagonist, the antagonist, or antagonist? You might think that the Minotaur is also an antagonist because it killed people and caused the main character to struggle, but think again. The Minotaur was a half-man and half-bull monster that was known for its craving to kill innocent victims and devour human flesh. It is the antagonist because it was the primary reason why the labyrinth in Crete was created. Remember, a antagonist could be any character who plays the second most important role in the story. Now, let's discuss the plot of the story. Do you still remember what a plot is? Good memory! A plot is the sequence of events that makes up a story. And a plot has 5 elements. Could you enumerate them for me?
Exposition. Rising action.
Climax.
Falling action. Resolution.
Perfect! I'm sure you could also perfectly arrange the plot of the story, Daedalus and Icarus, in order, right? Let's try it. I want you to arrange the following pictures according to the sequence of events in the story we listened to earlier. Identify which scene is the exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. You have 30 seconds to ponder on this. Now, tell me, which scene is the exposition? Correct! Picture 2 shows the exposition of the story. This part introduces the setting and the characters. We learned that in the island of Crete, there was a half-man, half-bull monster named Minotaur. It loved nothing more than to feast on human flesh, which caused fear in everyone. We also learned that the people begged King Minos to kill the
Evil
monster, but he said no to it. And what's next? Good! That's picture 4. The rising action began when King Minos hired Daedalus to build a labyrinth to keep the Minotaur from escaping. Icarus, son of Daedalus, helped his father in building the maze. They kept working on it day and night. But the ungrateful King Minos decided to lock the two in the labyrinth after the construction of the maze. And now, what is the most exciting part of the story or the climax? Yes, that's right. Picture 5 illustrates the turning point of the story. As you could see, Daedalus and Icarus looked terrified when they were inside the labyrinth. But of course, Daedalus didn't want to stay in prison with his son, so he began to devise a way to escape. He thought of creating wings so that they could fly and be free from the island of Crete. A crazy plan, isn't it? Yes, but that crazy plan led the story to its falling action. And which one is it? Great! It is picture 1. We learned that the father and son successfully produced 2 pairs of wings after long weeks of hard work and sleepless nights. Daedalus warned his son about the possible dangers of flying. He reminded Icarus not to fly too close to the sun and not too near the ocean. What could you say about the ending of the story? I'm sure you find it tragic. Well, just like what we've discussed last time, a resolution could be good or bad, happy or sad, and positive or disastrous. As long as it satisfies the audience's curiosity and leaves a significant lesson, it is considered a good resolution. And lastly, setting. Setting refers to the time and location or when and where a story happens. We discovered the 5 aspects that contribute to evaluating a setting. They are place. Where does the action of the story take place? Time. When does the story happen? Weather conditions. Is it rainy, sunny, or stormy? Social conditions. What is the daily life of the characters like? And mood. What feeling is created at the beginning of the story? Always remember, learning English may be difficult at first, but if you put your heart in it, you will surely love it. I am Ma'am Karla, heart your service.